It's 8 o'clock, live from Johannesburg. I'm Sally Burdett. Good evening. Your top stories tonight. A day of coalition crossfire. The DA intends to challenge the appointment of Mongameli Bobani in PE, and the ANC pushing to oust Tshwane Mayor Solim Zimanga. British Prime Minister Theresa May jets into South Africa, endorsing President Cyril Ramaphosa's investment drive and pledging stronger trade ties. And an emotional day for Faiki Mentor at the state capture inquiry. She's testified about the disrespect the Guptas showed Jacob Zuma. Tomorrow, former government spokesperson Themba Masego will share his testimony. Of course, we also have the day's top sport and business headlines. A very good evening, Moteo Khoripa and Jeffrey Stephen.
Good evening, Sally. Mamelodi Sundowns are dumped out of the CAF Champions League after being held to a goalless draw by Haroya.
Sad news that, but great news coming through from that UK and SA visit. Minister Theresa May promises local importers and exporters that money will continue to change hands between the two regions.
Thank you very much. More on those stories later. We start here. The Democratic Alliance has lost one mayor this week. Will they lose another before the week is out? Last night, Athol Trollip was ousted as Nelson Mandela Bay mayor. On Thursday in Tshwane, a no-confidence vote against Mayor Solim Zimanga is planned. Today, the DA, the EFF and the ANC came out guns blazing about the rocky state of coalition politics in key metros. I'm joined now by our political reporter, Samkele Maseko. Good evening, Samkele. Let's listen first to what Athol Trollip had to say today about being ousted.
The Municipal Structures Act is very clear in section 36(3). It says that the city manager should preside over the council meeting. Now, the city manager was present in the city. He wasn't incapacitated. In fact, he wasn't even approached by the MEC to go to the council meeting and to preside. The MEC simply chose to send somebody else to do that. We believe that's irregular and unlawful, and we'll be contesting that. And that's why I said to you, when you asked me, should you address me as the mayor or anything else, I believe I still am the mayor, and we'll let the courts decide on that, and we will respect the outcomes of the court.
Well, EFF leader Julius Malema has welcomed Trollip's departure. He's not worried about that court challenge. He says Trollip and the rest of the DA are arrogant, and they're now trying to make Nelson Mandela Bay ungovernable. Let's hear from him.
I mean, the former mayor, Trollip, says he's still the mayor. The man is a position monger. He's crying for position. He's removed, and he's got a recourse. If DA was not anarchic like that, it will follow the legal route and not insist that it is the mayor. Now, the DA is destabilizing Nelson Mandela. They want to destabilize it. Why? Because they're not a government. If you remove the DA, South Africans must know that they will destabilize any area where you remove them.
Let's focus on this now. Samkele, do you think that the DA, this is a DA failure in Nelson Mandela Bay, or is it a triumph for the ANC, the EFF and UDM?
This is arguably the DA's biggest failure when it comes to governance and coalition politics, particularly in Nelson Mandela Bay. They are not in any formal coalition with the EFF, but when Athol Trollip came into power, he said that he does not need the economic freedom fighters in Nelson Mandela Bay, which was arguably the biggest mistake, because as much as you may not need them in a coalition there, they are an important voting bloc, and they could cause an upset, knowing Julius Malema's politics, that he is able to persuade those who are predominantly from the black political parties. He's able to persuade them. For instance, we had Marlon Daniels in Nelson Mandela Bay of the Patriotic Alliance, who was willing to vote with the Economic Freedom Fighters and the ANC and the UDM, apart from when Julius Malema came out and said they will not go into any formal coalition with criminals and thieves in the form of Patriotic Alliance President Gayton Mackenzie. It tells you that Athol Trollip isolated an important voting bloc.
Absolutely. Well, let's move now to Thursday. Attempts to remove Tshwane's mayor due on Thursday. Let's hear from the ANC's Kgosi Mahepe, who says the DA mayor is corrupt.
We are asking political parties in council to use their conscience to vote out the executive mayor, who has been now beyond reasonable doubt proved to have been running a corrupt administration in the city, right in his office. We are not fooling you because the public protector has a report that people were appointed irregularly. You have seen the report as members of the public.
Let's see Zimanga's response to that.
The
taken a stance to say that we need to make sure that we investigate and deal with allegations and make sure that we remain an accountable government. So why a motion of no confidence when somebody has decided to act is now being put up? Serious questions need to be asked about the sponsors of the motion.
So, help us out here because it's so confusing. Is it a genuine desire to root out corruption, or is it, as Mzimanga says, an ulterior motive, a play for power by the ANC?
If it was ever about rooting out corruption, we would have seen ANC officials by now in Tshwane being held before a court of law ever since the DA took over power. Nobody has ever been charged or formally brought by the NPA or the National Prosecuting Authority to any court of law to answer for any wrongdoing in the city of Tshwane during the era of Josiento Ramachokpa, the former mayor of Tshwane. So it's all about power, whether it be the Economic Freedom Fighters, the Democratic Alliance, or the ANC. The million-dollar question: what made this relationship between Dr. Mokete Mosola, the city manager, and the current executive mayor of Tshwane, Solisi Msimanga, to be sour? What prompted the Economic Freedom Fighters to come from Norway and to defend Dr. Mokete Mosola? And what made the ANC to make a U-turn after they demanded the suspension of Dr. Mokete Mosola to say, no, let's not suspend him anymore, let's keep him?
Very quickly, before the end of this week, will Solly Msimanga be out? He says the numbers are not in his favour.
In the mathematics that he's done, if the ANC and the Economic Freedom Fighters vote together, he's as good as gone.
Thank you so much, our political reporter, Samkele Maseko. Well, moving on now, and South Africa and the United Kingdom are firmly committed to strengthening bilateral ties. British Prime Minister Theresa May touched down in Cape Town this morning. Now, she's the first British head of government to visit South Africa since 2013. Trade and investment was top of mind as both countries look to resolve their respective economic challenges: South Africa's need for growth and jobs, the UK's post-Brexit trading options. President Cyril Ramaphosa has hailed the visit a success, as Lester Kiewit reports.
Bringing in a strong friendship, UK Prime Minister Theresa May hands over the bow of the stricken SS Mendi that sunk in the English Channel during World War I. 646 mostly black South African troops died. Earlier, President Cyril Ramaphosa and his counterpart held a bilateral meeting with cabinet members. Top of the agenda, trade and investment. South Africa is looking for direct foreign investment to resuscitate a local economy on its knees, assuring May of political stability and a responsible land reform program.
The support the UK is willing to give to support our investment drive towards achieving our 100 billion rand objective, $100 billion. How can I make such a mistake? It's $100 billion to foster investments in a number of sectors of our economy.
The UK is South Africa's sixth largest trading partner, one of the partners it's relying on to continue open trade post-Brexit.
We want to build on the strong foundation of our economic relationship to ensure the prosperity and security of our people. The UK is one of South Africa's largest trading partners, with our trade worth over £9 billion last year. And we've agreed that as the UK prepares to leave the EU, we must think about how to grow that trade in the future.
May says she's looking forward to visiting Nigeria and Kenya, regional powerhouses in West and East Africa respectively. Lester Kiewit, Parliament.
To the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, and former ANC MP Vytjie Mentor gave testimony for a second day today. She claims the Gupta family knew of top secret state matters and treated then President Jacob Zuma with a lack of respect. Tomorrow, former government spokesperson Themba Masego will appear before the inquiry. Here's Erin Bates with details of what happened today.
Former ANC MP Vytjie Mentor says that Lakela Kaunda from the presidency called her to arrange a meeting with then-President Jacob Zuma in 2010. She flew from Cape Town to Johannesburg for that meeting, but says things took a turn when she was driven to the offices of Sahara Computers and then the Saxonwold home of the Gupta family. Mentor's made astounding allegations about what she says one Gupta brother, Atul, knew about state secrets.
Mr. A.J. Gupta had also brought forward the issue of denial. That issue that he raised with me was a top secret issue. that no private citizen should have known about.
It was after that conversation, says Mentor, that Jacob Zuma walked into the room. But instead of listening to her report that she'd been offered a cabinet minister position, he tried to calm her down.
The president sought to calm me down. He did not address the issues that I was putting before him.
Several people implicated in testimony by Mentor and Mcebisi Jonas have applied for cross-examination. Zondo, the chairperson of the inquiry, has intimated that he will allow cross-examination with a time limit, but he's yet to make a formal announcement on that front. We've also learned today that President Jacob Zuma's lawyers plan to give an indication on whether or not they want to cross-examine by Friday. And the Guptas are intending on applying for permission to do the same. Erin Bates, Parktown.
Still ahead on eNews, US President Donald Trump welcomes Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta to the White House in what has been described as a reciprocal charm offensive. And we'll have all your money news with Mateo.
Well, the local market on the money tonight. It has hit the best close in 5 months following stronger global trade.
Money Matters now with Mateo Kharipa. And good evening, Mateo. Of course, it's all about Theresa May, British Prime Minister's visit. Let's just take a look at the Southern African region. She has sought to allay fears about the Brexit move.
Well, the EU region now currently has a South African Customs Union agreement with the region, the likes of Botswana, Lesotho and South Africa, as well as Mozambique in terms of trade. And they're saying that even though they're out of that EU region, they will take that particular deal and agreement into future trade relations between the two regions, as in the rest of the countries will be able to still trade with the UK, despite the UK being out of that region. So that's allayed some fears for importers and exporters in the region.
Just give us a quick summary of the trade relationship between ourselves and the United Kingdom.
Unlike what we've seen with the China trade relations, this is a very balanced trade relationship between the two, because there is a balance of trade, meaning as much as we export to them, they export to us. We don't have a case where we import a lot of their products, but we don't send products there as well. South Africa actually exports a lot of finished products, which is a good thing to the UK. We don't only, send precious metals and precious stones, which is what they really rely on us for. But, there's a lot of citrus that also goes into that, and also electrical appliances, as well as tea, which is something they really fond of. I believe we send about 6 million rand worth of tea and coffee to the UK. So a lot of products that we send through there. And until June this year, we'd sent through about 9.9 billion rand worth of products there. So it's a great relationship, and one that they hope remains strong.
Healthy, balanced relationship. It's nice to hear. Let's talk through the markets now.
Great day for the markets today. It was prompting us to reach that 60,000 point mark yesterday. It did so today, over 1.5% rather, with stronger global markets pushing that. Industrials also in the same regions. Financials also at the back of a stronger rand, up more than 1%. In terms of mining shares, they were down today because of struggling shares from gold and platinum. Platinum also marginal in terms of shares today, with resources, in marginal territory, up 0.35%. And in currencies, while the rand spurred on by the Mexican peso after the deal they had with the US yesterday, it's at 14 rand 11 now against the dollar. It's also stronger against the euro at 16 rand 53. And the British Prime Minister, of course, in the country, some positive news coming out of that. It's at 18 rand 18 against the pound. In terms of that, gold prices at $1,208 an ounce today, and platinum dragging back to those 10-year lows at down more than 1.5% today, with Brent crude at $75.82 a barrel.
Generally a positive day.
Great day on the market.
Thank you so much, Mateo Kharipa. Let's look at international news now. And US President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump have welcomed Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta and his wife Margaret to the White House. The Trumps greeted the visitors at the south portico of the White House before meeting in the Oval Office. During their visit, the Kenyan and US leaders vowed to strengthen ties, renewing security and economic interests. And in the United States, still, Aretha Franklin's body has arrived at an African-American museum in her hometown of Detroit. She'll lie in state at the museum for public viewing. The Queen of Soul died on the 16th of August, aged 76. She'll be laid to rest on Friday. Let's recap your top stories this evening. A day of coalition crossfire. The DA intends to challenge the appointment of Mongameli Bobani in PE, and the ANC pushing to oust Tshwane Mayor Solim Zimanga on Thursday. British Prime Minister Theresa May jets into South Africa, endorsing President Cyril Ramaphosa's investment drive and pledging stronger trade ties. Time to get all our weather news now, and Louis Fernandez standing by in Cape Town from our weather centre. Good evening to you, Louis. Are we building up to a nice warm spring day on Saturday?
Good evening, Sally. We are for most parts of South Africa. Things are looking good at the moment. Clear skies have settled in over South Africa after the very cold weather we had this weekend. And so for the meantime, a very cold night lies ahead. But then heading into tomorrow, we'll have a bit of moisture in over the eastern parts of the country as well as towards parts of the Western Cape. A bit of early morning fog for those parts, but sunnier skies into the afternoon. That's really going to be warming things up over much of the country. So we're going to see a big recovery in temperature taking place, and that is set to continue for most parts of South Africa over the next couple of days as well. Let's look at your detailed forecast. In the Northern Cape, a cold morning for most parts, but take a look at the temperatures in the afternoon. Warmer air is going to be streaming down from the Kalahari, pushing temperatures above 20 degrees all across this province. For the Western Cape, warmer as well for this area, but temperatures along the coastline staying below 20 degrees for now. A little bit of cooler air still in circulation for those parts. And in the Eastern Cape, it's going to be a clear and dry day across this province. Quite warm in the afternoon. Somerset, East and Adelaide both climbing to 25. In Kwazulu-Natal, we see similar temperatures with clear sky conditions all across the province, but it will be a chilly morning for the area. And another cold start to the day for the Mpumalanga Highveld, along with a bit of fog, especially in the east. But in the afternoon, clear to partly cloudy skies expected for the province. More of the same for Limpopo. It's going to be a warm day for Lephalale, starting off at 11 degrees and climbing to 27 later on. And in the northwest, you can expect clear blue skies over this province. Icy at first for Vryburg and Potchefstroom, but those temperatures rise very quickly after sunrise. In the Free State, 1 degrees to start you off in Bloemfontein and Bethlehem, climbing above 20 for the afternoon. And the good news for Gauteng is that it's going to be a clear and calm day, and along with that, fairly warm as those temperatures get above 20 as well. Let's move ahead to your conditions for Thursday, and we're going to have dry weather persisting over the country. Clear skies in the east, a little bit of cloud in the west, but no rain just for now. And then on Friday, the last day of winter, a bit of rain for Cape Town. Other than that, it's going to be mostly dry and fairly warm, especially for the northern parts. Uppington, 33, and Pietermaritzburg gets to a high of 31. That's all from the Weather Centre. Back to you, Sally.
Thank you so much, Louis in Cape Town. And finally, paintings by the world's cuddliest artist are now on sale. Yang Yang, an 18-year-old female panda at Vienna Zoo, looks forward to her painting sessions. Although she had to be initially encouraged with bamboo shoots, she seems to now have gotten the hang of abstract art. Using a bamboo brush, she prefers to work in black and white. Her output is limited to just 100 works, on sale for just under €500 each. Funds will go towards producing a book on pandas. Let's recap your top stories this evening. A day of coalition crossfire. The DA intends to challenge the appointment of Mongameli Bobani in PE, and the ANC pushing to oust Tshwane Mayor Solim Zimanga. British Prime Minister Theresa May jets into South Africa, endorsing President Cyril Ramaphosa's investment drive and pledging stronger trade ties. And that's your news. Tony Ndoro is in for me tomorrow. I'm back on Monday. Have a great evening from me and the team. Good night.